Thank you very much for joining us. You're watching another edition of the MedFiles program. I am your host, Marianne Waisha. Now, this is a special edition of the MedFiles program because we don't have the usual doctors in studio. We have the founders of the Deep Democracy Institute, Max and Ellen Schupbach, and they'll be talking to us about how you can use your mind to heal yourself. Very different from the conventional medicine that we usually talk about. So Max and Ellen, welcome. First of all, welcome to Kenya.
Thank you.
And welcome to Three Stones TV.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you both. So you guys founded the Deep Democracy Institute. And I think I'd want us to first introduce the Institute to our audience before we go into what you do and how that helps and that impacts on the lives of so many people. So give us a bit about the Institute, the Deep Democracy Institute, when it began, where you founded.
Well, the Deep Democracy Institute has a confusing name for quite a few people because when you hear the word democracy, a lot of people think about politics. And but we think of deep democracy as a general global approach, meaning we live in a world now where one truth barely is sufficient anymore in any area. So we look at reality and we look at the problems that we face as a human race. Then we come to realize that it needs a lot of people, a lot of different approaches, a lot of different mindsets, a lot of different ideas to solve these problems, and that's where deep democracy comes in. Open to very different, partially very controversial, partially exclusive views, but mutually exclusive, but both views can contribute something to solving the problem. That's where we come in.
That's where you come in. Okay. So Ellen, maybe you can tell us where are you based and when did you begin the Institute? And how does the Institute, I mean, there must, for you to start an institute or to start anything, there must be a certain gap that you saw and attempt to fill it.
Thanks for asking. Well, we're based in the U.S., in Oregon, and I think we were founded officially in 2006. And a gap that we would, that's a great question. And I think, as I understand us at the time, was sort of a sense of a calling to go to different places and to meet people in different places and to learn from one another. And I guess now we've come to, we call it, we make unlikely connections inevitable. And so I think there was like a call to start to make those unlikely connections.
Like, for example, we have a leadership training in the United States, and we have a leadership training here in Kenya. And classical thinking was, well, maybe you have an American leadership training coming to Kenya to help Kenyans to develop leadership. But we turned it around. We think we're a global think tank, and we are now developing Kenyan trainers and American trainers, and hopefully the Kenyan trainers will come to America and help training American trainers and vice versa, because everybody in many ways is who they are and special in who they are, and we all need to learn from each other. Like Americans can learn a lot from Kenyans in terms of how to live with diversity, with the 42 tribes or many tribes you have.
Diversity is not common.
Yes, and how well Kenya is doing with it right now, a week after elections, how well Kenya is doing with this process, their involvement. There's a lot that Kenyans can teach Americans.
Okay. So you're trying to create a global wisdom, a common global wisdom.
That's well said.
I love how you say it,
Okay.
We'll put this on our
I know,
website.
I thought that's good, really.
Creating a global wisdom,
Yes,
common global
common
wisdom.
global
Thank
wisdom.
you.
All right, so there's some very key concepts that you teach that you know that run over the different segments that you teach. But there's some very common ones that are sort of foundational for what you teach. Could you give us some of those?
Shall I say? I could start out and say the same idea that we have a global approach which is interested in different viewpoints. we also use this in terms of your own experience. So, like, for example, if we work with a health issue or a body symptom for an individual, we think the symptom or the disturbance has information in it that is important and useful to us and our own path and development, and all we have to do is find out more about it. It will show us the way. So the idea is the thing that at first we look and we go, oh, I don't like that, I don't want that. It actually shows the way for how we can go. And this is also in terms of relationship difficulties, a person you don't like or a problem you have in your team, for example. This is the same underlying principle. The thing that at first appears, I don't like it, actually somehow we find how is that the next step and meaningful for our own path.
Or if you would say that scientifically, you can say we're using a whole systems approach that's looking at the entire information in a system. And classical, a more traditional approach looks, for example, at all the experiences that a person has in their body, and they take some of these experiences and say these are important. Let's give them medical names, and then these experiences happen also, but they're not so important. And we work a whole system approach. We say deep democracy shows that over time all information in all systems are important. That's true for communities, that's true for nations, that's true for your body, that's true for everything we believe.
All right, you talk. You have some very key concepts. You have what you call X energies. You have what you call process work. I mean, give us how do all these terms come together?
Okay. Well, X energy, for example, we think you are experiencing the world according to information that you like and informations that you don't identify with, that you were disturbed by. Everything that you're disturbed by, we call it the X energy. This is an X factor. And this background is in physics, why we use that, and everything that you identify with, we call the U energy, small u, a small u, a U energy. So we help groups, but also people, to notice, this I'm okay with, I call that U. This I don't like, therefore I call it X. I'll give you an example that everybody can feel in. If you live in a village and it's going well, you think it's going well, you have a tendency to say, we are doing this and this. The moment you don't like it anymore, you no longer say, we are doing this and this, you now say, they are doing this and this. No? And it's the same, like, I am doing well, but my hand hurts. I am fine. It's my hand that's the problem. No? I disidentify from the disturbance. So X energy, we call all the part of the experience that we disidentify from, that we don't want to have anything to do with.
So how do you impart? You conduct trainings around the world. How do you go about the training to impart this in the people?